Hey everybody, I thought I would continue on with the conversation we was having about to bring everything around. I had started drinking whenever I went into the military, had done a few med cruises, and with the med cruises I really learned how to get good at my drinking and learned how to, didn't really care if I hit it or not. I mean, it was one of those things, and really the only place I remember going to was in Egypt. I do remember seeing the pyramids. Matter of fact, I got drunk and passed out there. But anyway, I do remember that part. But other than that, you know, I learned to do a lot of drinking, and I learned how to shoot pool while I was in the military, and I actually done some sharking on shooting pool because I got really good at that as well as a few other things. But and I got good at drugs in general, and it's something I'm ashamed of. But at the same time, it brought me to where I am today, or it helped get me to that point. But anyway, got in the military, met my wife that I've been married to for the last 35 years, and we went through that. I went through the treatment center, helped others, didn't help myself a bit. And at that point, I knew my drinking career was ruined. So once I figured out my drinking career was ruined, that's when I started hiding. I learned how to sneak drink. I learned how to use Tic Tacs, which really didn't cover anything up. You just get Tic Tac alcohol smell. And my wife knew that, but I thought I was hiding it, but really, honestly, I wasn't hiding it. I mean, it was one of those things where she knew what was going on. Excuse me. I learned how to spend money. I spend money on the alcohol. I learned how to take money from bills, not pay the bills, and bills come due, and that was just added stress. And I'd got to the point to where I knew I needed to quit, but I didn't think I could. I didn't see any way out. I couldn't see a way out whatsoever. I had I got to working at the packing house at the place that I moved to, and it was everyday thing. I mean, I would buy beer, keep it in the refrigerator at home. I would drink before I go to work. But now at the same time, I was a functioning alcoholic, and I had the will to quit drinking. I just didn't want to use that will. And you know, as I spoke earlier, everyone has a rock bottom. And you're not really going to quit drinking or quit drugging in a lot of people's minds until you hit rock bottom. But the question really is, what is your rock bottom? I mean, talk about rock bottoms. When it comes to alcoholism and drug addiction, there's a bottom for everybody. And you know, you got to be smart enough to realize that there's only three ways this ends. And I mean, I'm not trying to scare anybody because that's not what I'm here to do. I'm not here to scare people, but at the same time, I'll be honest with you, because I've been honest with myself over these years. I've been honest with my wife. I've been honest with my kids. Because my kids knew that I had a problem, and I have talked to my kids about it, and they know where I stand on alcoholism, and they know where I stand on drug addiction. And it's one of those things where I protect my sobriety. I have protected my sobriety for many years. I'm very good at protecting my sobriety. If I walk up to several people at a tailgate party at a ball game, I can actually probably go to a ball game now if I was inclined to be into sports. I'm the type person, I've been more into family than I am sports, because I think family is more important, and I value my family time with my wife and my kids and my grandkids. I just value that time way above anything else. So the only sports I ever really was interested in was NASCAR. And believe me, I have showed my ass at enough NASCAR races as well. because I have actually went to Bristol and fell off of that big hill that you had to walk up to go to Bristol. I've been to several Bristol races, both day and night. But my point is, everybody has a rock bottom, and you know it's coming, because the closer you get to the rock bottom, the more hopeless it seems, the more disassociated with people you become. You become disassociated with people at work. You just want to be left alone. You just want to do whatever you want to do without any kind of repercussions. And you do whatever you can to avoid any repercussions. You lie. You cheat. For me, I never did steal, because I've always been of a mind, if it don't belong to me, I don't steal it. I don't steal. That's one thing that I never really done, other than walking out of a store with a couple of cases of beer. I have done that many, many years ago. This was back during my military days. But it's, as far as, I would not take a piece of bubble gum. I'm the person that goes in Walmart, and if I fill my buggy up and I go out of there after I go through the pay on your own aisle, which I don't like, but that's a whole nother subject. We won't get onto that. But what I'm saying is, I'm the person that goes to Walmart, fills up his buggy, and if I go through the self-checkout, I'll check out, and if I happen to get out to the car and I see something on the bottom of the buggy and I think, wait a minute, I didn't ring that up, I'm the person that will actually walk that item back into the store. And I have done it. As a matter of fact, I've done it 2 or 3 weeks ago at a Food City, because I don't want to steal nothing from nobody. And I'm the type person that if I clock in at work and I've got to stop and do something, personal business or whatever, I will clock out and then clock back in whenever I'm done doing the personal business. I'm not talking about using the bathroom or anything like that. I'm talking about if say I need to, I'm by a Walmart or something while I'm working, or I happen to be close to a Walmart and I need to go into Walmart to pick something up, I will clock out and go into Walmart, pick something up, come back out to the truck, and then clock back in. That's just the kind of person I am. Because with me, in my life, honesty has to be up front. Because if I can't be upfront and honest with people, I feel like I'm not being honest with myself. And if I'm not being honest with myself, how many times could I lie to myself to jump off the wagon and think that I can drink again? I can't play that game, and I won't play that game from now until the day I die, because I've got this system in my head of all honesty. And let me tell you something, friendships and honesty, it's a hard road, because the world is geared around where you get flexible honesty. And that's basically, for lack of a better word, that's really the only way that I can put it. You're honest, but you're not being completely honest, or you're spinning the honest in a different way. But at the same time, what's honest is honest and what's not is not. So honesty plays a big part in sobriety. So, and if you're honest with yourself, you know if you have a drinking problem, you know if you have a drug problem. I guess the question is, how far down do you have to go to get to your rock bottom? Is your rock bottom tomorrow? I mean, are your bills behind? You're behind on your rent, you're behind on your mortgage, you're behind on car payments, you're behind on this bill or that bill or credit card statements. Are you behind on those to the point to where you're ignoring them, but yet you're still continuing to spend money on alcohol and drugs if that's what you're doing? Where is your rock bottom? Everyone has a rock bottom. And it's not a question of if you have a rock bottom. The question is, how far down do you need to go? And it only ends 3 ways. You either go to jail, you quit, or you die. It's as simple as that. I mean, you can pass away drunk. You can drink yourself to death. You can literally take 2 or 3 bottles of liquor, hard liquor, and literally die from drinking the liquor. So, and the liquor, I always thought, back in my drinking days, I always thought, okay, liquor and I knew this because of I had some brothers that were, I know one who was a full-blown alcoholic, but he had told me that he wanted to die drunk, and which kind of disturbed me, because this was at a time right after I got sober, that I thought, why would you want to die that way? And in hindsight, and I did try to talk to him several times, but he never did hit his rock bottom, and he passed away that way. But the liquor, I always knew that liquor would eat your liver up quicker than beer would. So I thought, okay, I'll be smart. I'll just drink beer. I can't be an alcoholic drinking beer. Nah. I mean, beer. How many beers you got to drink to get drunk? I mean, let's see. About a half case? Well, they got to a point to where when I was drinking, it would take me a half a case just to get normal. And then I would go back up on top of that line. And then I could get high, and then there may be a case after that. And then I'd finally get drunk. And then by then I had already spent, what's a case and a half, 2 cases of beer, what does that cost? And that was money going from bills that you were supposed to be using to pay your bills with. And then now you got to tell your wife, okay, well, I ain't got enough money to pay the bills, or or something comes knocking on the door. Oh, here's your eviction notice. You got to get out. I mean, how far down does your bottom get? Because for me, it had gotten so bad to where I was ignoring all the signs. I knew there was a rock bottom, but it came upon me so quickly, or I thought in my mind it was quickly, but it had built over time. It's just that I was too stupid to realize it. And it's one of those things where you're going to work, you're drinking, you're going to get off work, you're going to go get beer, you're going to drink, I'm going to go home and watch a little TV and drink a few beers, spend a little time with my family. And my family knew that I was drinking. My kids was probably too young to know that it was a problem, and they did know that. They didn't know it was a problem. They knew I drank, but they didn't know it was a problem. They didn't really think anything about it because they wasn't old enough to realize, they wasn't mature enough in their minds to realize that, hey, Daddy's got a problem. We need to talk to him, because they just hadn't got to that point. Because my son, at the time I quit drinking, he was, how old was he? He was like 5 years old. And my baby girl, she was just a year old. They didn't know what was going on with me. I mean, hell, I didn't even know what was going on with me until I realized it. I mean, I knew back here, but I wasn't bringing it out here. Because you do a lot of hiding whenever you know you're an alcoholic. You do a lot of hiding. You figure out, and don't get me wrong, alcoholics are very smart. Alcoholics are probably some of the smartest people you ever met, and they make really good managers. And I was told that by more than one person back because I was, as I said earlier, I was a manager for 12 years, and I was told by upper management that recovering alcoholics make really good managers because of the honesty factor, because they're not going to cheat the company out of money, so they look at it in a different way, or at least why certain companies do. Some do, some companies do, and some companies don't. They don't realize what they've got when you've got a recovering alcoholic that has been recovering, and honesty is a big part of their sobriety. And trust me, honesty is everything when it comes to sobriety. And you can write that down. You can put it in the back of your head. And if you attempt to quit today and you go back to drinking a month from now, it will be because you was not honest with yourself. You have to be honest with yourself. And in order to be honest with yourself, you have to be honest with others, because you can't have one without the other. It just does not work that way. I've tried it that way. Remember, I'm the one that went through the treatment center the first time. There you go. Went right back to drinking because I was not honest with myself. Even though I was teaching them people in there to be honest with themselves. I told them exactly what to do in order to go through their steps. And at some point, I'm going to do an episode on the steps of Alcoholics Anonymous, and I'm going to do an episode on the Serenity Prayer, because I live by that Serenity Prayer. I've got it on my house in Florida, or not my house. It's where I live at in Florida, but it's on the walls there, and I live by that. My wife will tell you that I live by that serenity prayer, because it's God granting me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. And if you stay in constant contact with Jesus, the Lord, He will give you the wisdom to know when to walk away and know when to say something and when not to say something. And the best thing to do is just turn your problems over to Him. Let Him drive, because He will do the driving. You have to act on your faith, and you have faith that He's going to do the driving, but you have to act on it, because faith without works is nil. But so you have to let Him do the driving. But you've got to be honest. You have to be honest with yourself. You have to be honest with your spouse. You have to be honest with your kids. If they're of age to understand that you have a problem, then you need to acknowledge that problem to them somehow, some way. The kids are not going to look down on you for that. Your wife is not going, if your spouse really loves you, she will not look down on you for that. I firmly believe that. Now, if I'm proven wrong, then I'm proven wrong. Life is a funny thing. I can be proven wrong. I've messed up. I've done things wrong. And if I mess up, I guarantee you I'm the first one that will admit it, because it comes back down to the honesty. Because you have to make honesty part of your sobriety. It has to be the major cornerstone. And then it's faith with works. You have to work it, and you have to work your steps. I'm still in the steps. If you're a recovering alcoholic, you're still in the steps, because the steps are there permanently. I mean, like I said, I'm going to do an episode on the steps at some point. But my alcoholism has gotten to the point to, I'm going to weave back to where I was. It had gotten to the point to where, this was in early 91, whenever we had made the move to this other area and went to work at this packing house, and I had a hard time getting along with the two ladies there, and it wasn't because of them, it was because of me. And I knew that. I knew that at that time. I was too stupid to admit it. But I had covered up everything. And I will tell you about the first miracle that I had. I had everything planned out. I had already figured out that I was done with this drinking. I'm done disappointing my family. I'm done disappointing my wife, even though she was brave enough not to tell me. I was done with everything. And I had plans. And I had put the plans together in my head and had taken the actions necessary to carry the plans out. And what happened that day was truly a miracle. Because when it come time to do what I was going to do, without going into, I don't want to go into no graphic details, but I think you all know where I'm leading to. But when it come time, my mother, who never even knew exactly where I was, and my sister, they was a couple hours away, and we had lived there for several months. And it was one of those things where walked out of the building at break time, lo and behold, my mother was there and my sister. And they had actually stopped my plans. And nothing is by coincidence. I'm not foolish enough to think that things happen by coincidence. I don't believe there is such a thing as coincidence. Now, there may be if you're not a saved child of God, but I believe if you're one of God's children, I believe that there's no such thing as coincidence or coinkydink, as I've heard it put. But that day, she showed up and she never had even been to the house. She didn't even know where I lived. But lo and behold, there she was standing in front of me with my sister. And the first words out of her mouth was, "Are you ready to go?" And I said, "Yes. Yes, I'm ready to go." And we proceeded to go to my house. I had a couple of quarts of beer in the refrigerator. I grabbed those. And we proceeded to where my wife worked at. And I went to talk to my wife because I didn't want her to leave me. And that's what I was worried about. Because I knew I had a problem. And I knew it had to be dealt with. But I talked to my wife. And she said she wanted to take me to the hospital. So I got in the car with her with my 2 quarts of beer. I told her, I said, I'm going to drink these 2 quarts of beer, and this is the last quarts of beer I'm ever going to drink. And she said, okay. And I begged her not to leave me because I loved her very much. And I knew if she left me, I don't know how it was going to end up, but I knew that I had to do this for myself. And I didn't tell her what I was planning on doing until after I had got out of the hospital. And she actually learned about it. Actually, she learned about it while I was in the hospital. But she said she wouldn't leave me and that she would wait. That's a miracle. It's a miracle that God put my mother and my sister someplace where they had never been, asking me if I was ready to go to the hospital. No one can tell me that wasn't a miracle, because it was. And that's not the only miracles that he's performed in my life, because there's other situations that I'm going to talk about later on that I'll go in detail. I know the miracles when I see them. As I said, I don't believe in coincidences. It's just something that there's no such thing. If you're a child of God, everything happens for a reason. And she took me to the hospital. I finished my 2 quarts of beer. And I got to the hospital and they wouldn't accept me. Even though I knew what I was going after. I knew this time what I was going after. And they said that I would have to go across the road to the hospital, the other hospital, and tell that cop over there that I was planning on harming myself, and let him bring me over there in handcuffs. So I went and got in the car. She took me over there, and I walked up to the cop and told him what I was going to do. He proceeded to put me in handcuffs and take me to the hospital, and they accepted me. I was in the hospital that time for 10 days. But I had hit my rock bottom. And I just prayed for the Lord to come back out in me as strong as he possibly could, because I was going to need the Lord in order to lean on and to show me the way of how I can stay sober. And I built my sobriety from that point. You can't let your rock bottom be the same as mine, because that rock bottom had I not had Lord in my heart, could have been very bad. And I wasn't even considerate enough. I didn't think of my wife. I didn't think of my kids or how anything would affect them. Because it was as if I was a selfish man and I didn't care. That's how far down I had gotten. I was a broken man. And in some ways I'm still broken, but I'm healing. And I'm getting stronger. And I'm going to stay strong. But it's one of those things where, in my mind, the Lord showed me at that point how powerful He is. And I know the Lord. I knew all along how powerful the Lord was. It just had not been presented to me in that form. And I don't want anyone else's rock bottom to be that far. And trust me, it can get that far. Because if it can get that far for me, it could get that far for anyone. Because if you're aligned to your spouse and you're aligned to yourself, basically, and you're coming up with excuses to drink and excuses to go to parties, excuses to get out and ride around in your car and sneak drink. And sneak drinking is drinking, regardless of what you call it. Even if you're drinking, I ain't drinking this much this time. It's not really going to hurt me. Yes, it's a drink is a drink is a drink is a drink, and it's something that you have to get away from. But the honesty has to be there, and I got taught that. I'm sure that was told to me in earlier, in the first 30 days that I went in. I'm sure it was told to me. I know it was. But it didn't click up here in this stupid head. It just didn't click. But the second time, I knew what I was going after. I was in the hospital for 10 days that time. And I knew exactly what I was going after. And I have not touched a drop of alcohol in 35 years. And they say the people that go through chemical dependency units, as I said in an earlier episode, is 2%. So if you've got 100 people that goes in through a treatment center, through a chemical dependency unit, or a hospital, I'm not even sure what they're calling them these days, but there are places you can go. Only 2 of those people will stick to the program and stick to themselves and stick to figuring out that honesty has everything to do with it. It's not something, people say honest, be honest, be honest, be honest. Honest is something that's got to come from right here. The Lord tells you if you're honest or not. You can either be honest and show your honesty and get chastised for your honesty and get run down for your honesty, get talked down to for your honesty, get whatever circumstances are for your honesty. But the fact still remains, you was being honest with yourself and others. And that's something that I'll never let go of, because it's that same honesty that keeps me sober. And I know where I can go if I don't stay sober. So it's just, what I'm trying to say is, and I'll build more on that in the next episode, honesty has to be a major factor in your sobriety. Because if it is not, you will fail. So when you build these blocks for you to quit drinking so that you don't have to hit rock bottom, and please don't go to the rock bottom if you can keep from it whatsoever. If you can keep from the rock bottom, I beg of you, don't go there, because you will hurt your family, you will hurt your wife, you will hurt your kids, you will hurt your real friends around you. And I do have some real friends, and they don't necessarily go to church, but they know my honesty and they accept my honesty. They don't ask my opinion on some things because They know I'm going to be honest, and they know exactly what they're going to get. But that's just, I've got to be honest in everything. And if I'm proven wrong and my honesty was wrong, well, first off, you're not going to prove that my honesty is wrong, because honesty is not it's not a necessary words. It's just the way you're doing, the way you live your life in an honest manner. And I have to live my life in an honest manner because I don't want to get drunk. And I don't want, and it's not that I'm going to hurt my wife or I'm going to hurt my family. I got to do this for me. This is the only way that I can live to be 70, 80, 90 years old. And the Lord may take me out of here tomorrow. I don't know that. None of us knows that. We're not promised tomorrow. And you're not promised tomorrow. And, if you don't have Jesus Christ in your heart, I implore you, read the Bible. Jesus is real. I promise you, he is real. And it's something that you're going to have to figure out for yourself. I can't beat it into your head. Your mama can't beat it into your head. Your wife, she can't do it. Your kids can't do it. Look at the examples around you. Don't even go by them. Because I know all kinds of people that go to church and people that say they're Christians and this and that. But I'm going to tell you something. The church house don't put Jesus Christ right here. Jesus Christ is right here because I wanted him here. I asked him to come here, and I asked him to show me how to live. And he has shown me how to live. And I won't back down from that. And I won't back down from Jesus showing me how to be honest, because that's just who I am. And I want you to stay with this channel, because I want to talk about some things that are coming up in future episodes, because this is not the end of the channel. This is just the beginning. And I'm going to touch on other subjects, and I'll do whatever I need to do. And as I said earlier, I'm not a podcaster. I'm scared to death of this camera in front of me, and I don't know how I'm going to look on this video. And to be honest with you, I don't care. I'm just putting it out here for you to grab a hold of. Maybe you get some little piece of something from me that'll help you. And if that's all it takes, then it was all worth it as far as me being in front of this camera. And yes, I'm sitting in my camper. I like my camper. I love my camper. And to be honest with you, I don't need millions of dollars to live. Because you don't need millions of dollars to live. Because in the end, I'm not taking anything with me. The Lord's going to take out of here just what he put in here. But I'm going to live for the Lord from now until the day he decides it's time for me to come home. And then when I get in front of him, I'll say, thank you, Jesus, for everything that you've done for me. And thank you for watching over me. Thank you for moving things out of the way for me to keep me from getting hurt. Thank you for doing all that you've done in my life, all that you've done in my family's life. Because there's been miracles that happened with my family's life. And I'll go over a lot of that in other episodes. But I want you to know Jesus loves you. And I love you. Because I love everybody. I'm just that way. And if you don't care whether I love you or not, fine. That is entirely up to you. But in the end, it's up to me to be honest with myself and others. And that is part of the way I live. And I hope everybody accepts me for the way I am. Some people don't accept me. Some people flat out runs from me because they don't want nothing to do with someone that is honest, who will call them out. And that's fine. I can't help that. I'm not out to call anybody out. I'm just out to point out the honesty. But honesty is part of my life. And if you're sober and you're trying to stay sober, or you're wanting to get sober, don't go to the rock bottom and make honesty a part of your life. And honesty is hard to live in a world that is increasingly dishonest. But that's enough for this episode, and there'll be more episodes to come. You can like and comment, subscribe to the channel. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to email me at 35yearskept@gmail.com. Thank you for watching. God bless.